Good morning, Quasar Markets Live. How is everybody doing this fine Tuesday? I am here, as always, joined by my man, Steve Big Beat, or the CEO and founder of our Quasar Market. Steve, how are you doing this morning?
I'm good, man. Look, the markets are falling back. They're coming back to earth, which we've been calling for. I did over the weekend, as everybody knows, and I mentioned yesterday on Schwab. But look, the market needs a healthy pullback. It hasn't seen this, Hondo, and here we are. We're starting to see the last 2 days of a pullback. And my main man, Paul Tudor Jones, on CNBC this morning, pretty much said, "Look, the presidential candidates are handing out tax cuts like Mardi Gras beads." Um, he's saying the exact same thing we're saying. Look, the the budget deficit and the country's debt are outrageous, and the percentage of GDP to debt is out of control. And right now, he is saying two things. They asked him clearly, "What are you invested in?" And he said, "Commodities and
Yeah.
Bitcoin."
Yeah.
Look, what we talked about, and he says he has no fixed income. Look, he does not believe in the bond market right now. He's telling you that right now. He said, "Look, some," he said, he quote, "kids or those are protected to maybe buying Nasdaq stocks," but he said, "I'm not doing that." He said, "I'm buying Bitcoin and commodities." Wow, this is a trader of 40 to 50 plus years who's buying Bitcoin. That tells you everything there, Howard.
Yeah, absolutely. I will be talking Bitcoin with our boy Scott Bauer live from the SIBO at 1 o'clock today. A little bit more on there, but I do think we see a pullback here personally from where
Yep.
we're at. I think we see a little bit of a pullback here towards this 64, 63 level, be right about that 50% Fibonacci level on the move we just made up. And it's right around the area where we saw former resistance that now hopefully will give us the support we need to make our next move up into, back towards challenging all-time highs. So definitely one to keep an eye on there. What I love is that, we made that move through 63, and that was where the short-term holders had been holding a lot of Bitcoin at a loss. And now once that came, that selling didn't really hurt us much. You saw a little bit of it right here the first time we hit it. You can see the big wick back down, but we came right back up from there and really have done a nice job. So happy to see that. Market pullbacks, we're definitely seeing that this morning across it. The other thing I have to say that we've been talking about here that has been all over now CNBC and everywhere else is, it's a pickers market, right? There's going to be
Yeah.
winners, there's going to be losers. Pay attention to earnings, pay attention to things, and you'll find the right ones to pick.
Yeah, I mean, look, the market has been overbought for a while. I mentioned this yesterday. The American Association of Individual Investors, one of the key indicators, their sentiment survey that I follow pretty heavily just to see what others are thinking out there as well. 48.6% of people think that the market is overbought. And when you look at the number of people who think that the market is priced right, it's tight. But those who think that the market is oversold is 2.6%. I
Right.
mean, I'm not going to be in the category of those betting in the 2.6% because they're not, even if they're investing and they're heavily invested, they're not going to overweigh the 60 to 80% of people that think the market's way overvalued and the very few to 20 to 30% and vice versa. I mean, there's a give or take. That the markets are that let's buy some more stock because the stock's going to keep going up. I understand it. 401ks, IRA plans, they're going to continue to buy. We know that, but this market needs a healthy pullback. If we don't get one, there's going to be a rug pull. And I still believe that we're starting to see the very beginnings of a rug pull. I think what do you have up there right now,
That's the
Howard?
SPY right there.
Yeah, that's a good chart right now. If you look at that top of linear regression, looks like is that a daily
Yep,
chart there?
that is a
Yeah,
daily chart. Yep.
yeah, you can see things are volume is drying up. Looks like top of that linear regression, not quite all the way up there here, but we're seeing a little bit of a pullback. This is going to start it. I think people are nervous. We're not that far now into the election. We got about another about
10 days, not
10,
even.
10 days. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, little more than that. I think maybe like 15 days, right? So the look, I tell you one thing, I would not, I don't invest right now based on the election because this election is too close.
Yep.
We know what to own based on who wins. But I would not be, and I definitely wouldn't be putting all my eggs in one basket based on Polymarket. I wouldn't be putting all my eggs in one basket based on Trafalgar's. This morning I saw Trafalgar's their polling data. Look, I throw out Republicans, I throw out Democrat polls immediately. Just goodbye. I don't even want to look at your polls. I look at polls that don't even look at registered voters. I look at likely voters, and I look at the polls that have over 1 to 3,000 people.
That's
Uh,
important. I want to hit on that for 1 second because I'm in the middle of a battleground state here in Ohio when it comes to Senate. The Sherrod Brown, Bernie Moreno, one of the most challenging ones. One that I'm
sure.
watching very closely because Sherrod Brown has been one of the people that have been the most anti-crypto that there is. And I won't even say crypto, anti-technology. The guy doesn't like anything that has a computer to do with it. So I'm very interested there. And you'll see these, so and so just did this, survey, and it was 100 people. What are you going to get out of 100 people? Sorry to interrupt you
No,
there, but
you're totally right. I mean, that's exactly right. And now you're seeing where Russian interference in Polymarket, you're seeing interference in some of these betting markets. And my goodness, if you're investing based on what Polymarket is saying, um, what the hell? I mean,
yeah,
you're an
and
idiot.
I'd have to
Scrub.
ask you on a bigger picture there too, Steve. You know, I think who either party that wins this, we're going to have the economy is going to face hurdles from one and hurdles from the other. In other words, if DJT is in there, then tariffs, and we got to look at the plays that get affected by that more. If the Democrats and Kamala in, then maybe crypto is more high tech. Look for Microsoft and some of these antitrust things to maybe get a little bit more legs. But overall, for the market, I don't. I think people are reading a little too much into it. Also, we've heard a lot of the people we have on here that are really smart guys, Michael Litt and Stephen Flanagan, say, listen, the election's going to happen. It's going to
Right.
affect a swath of stocks either way. Are you in the green energy stuff and there that if Kamala wins, yeah, they get a pop. But the S&P QQQ, sort of, it's going to do what it does regardless of the election, I guess, is what I'm sort of
How
putting
many
together.
times did Donald Trump say, if Biden gets elected, the market will crash?
He
It
did it.
will be bad. Your portfolios will be bad. Your IRA will be bad. Your 401ks, it's going to crash. We're at all-time highs.
Yeah.
Political, I don't care either way. But I'll tell you this much, and it's a fact. It's not question marks. It's a fact that markets do better under Democrats than they do under Republicans. Always have, always will. The biggest crashes always happen under Republicans. 87 was the biggest crash, and with Reagan, that you can probably say .com. I mean, I know that was a rough one. You can go back all the way back to 1929 when who the president was, right? So look, betting on the markets based on who the president of the United States is just straight up flat silly. Now, if you're investing based on what you think their policies are going to be, and
Right.
will those companies do better under those policies? Yes, most definitely. I think, and I've said this before, that I think under Trump, I think oil companies will do very well. I think green companies will do well under a Kamala Harris Waltz administration. But I don't embed the whole markets on based on who the
Right.
president
And
is.
that's what I wanted to sort of speak in there with because I think sometimes people get too caught up in that bigger picture, like it's all of a sudden gonna, whichever party wins in 15 days, all of a sudden the market either just takes straight off or it goes straight down. I think it's gonna do what the market's been
If
doing.
Trump wins, do you think Apple's going to stop making
Yeah,
phones?
no, none of
Do
that
you think if
changed,
Kamala Harris wins, do
Um,
you think that they're going to stop making guns? Hell no. It's I don't even understand the philosophy here, right? It's
yeah,
it's silly. It's based. If you ever want to know what the true market protection is, you want to really know how to invest in the market. Understand psychology. Understand what people are thinking and what they're investing in and what they're buying, right? I
right,
mean, I always say trade what you know, right? If you're a
yeah,
plumber, trade trade plumbing stocks, right? Trade housing stocks. If you're a pharmacist, trade medicine. It's not hard to understand this, right? But if you're looking at this election, you're going, oh my, I think Donald Trump's going to win and the world's going to end, or Kamala Harris is going to win and I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to sell my house and move to freaking Cayman Islands.
Yeah,
That's
it's
just
crazy.
absolutely silly, right?
Yep.
And I'm hearing right now, Howard, that people are talking about civil war in this country based on the election.
Yeah, I
Right? I
know.
mean,
I mean,
that's
it
it's not
is
happening,
tough.
right?
I hate all of it where, people should be coming
I
together, not separating, and
And I have
politics
2
should
college degrees in it. I mean,
yeah.
like, look, I get it. I love politics. I understand it, right? But, to be honest with you, it doesn't really affect the markets, right? It doesn't say, "Okay, here's what's really gonna change the world." Under Trump, when he was president, of the United States, guess what did the best? Um, Believe it or not, electric vehicles did very well
Yeah, it was
under
the rise of
the
Tesla.
Trump
Yeah.
administration, right? Look, if you I looked it up again. Oil was around 40, $50 a barrel. It's at 70 under a Kamala Harris Waltz administration.
Yeah.
So honestly, I don't look at the markets and go, oh, who's the president? Let me make sure that I understand it. I'm looking at what's in front of me, right? Now, if you want to say, hey, based on the president, there's going to be geopolitical issues. Okay, I'll buy that because each president,
I think they're
foreign
both going to
policy,
have to deal with geopolitical issue.
they
It's
got a
just
lot to
different
deal with
of
when the
which
new
one. That's what I
president
mean.
comes in.
Is I think that's why I try to step back away from it, and again look for stocks that are undervalued right now, and ones that are overvalued, and play based upon that is what's important. You play the hand in
But
front of
Howard,
you.
let me ask you the question: what stocks do you find undervalued first? But I mean, what are you looking at to get a find an undervalued stock? Is it price to earnings? Is it
Against its competitor, usually against its competitive set. I think price earning ratio it's scary because if you look in again, high tech they trade at 90s.
right?
Others that trade at 10 that surprised me. Some banks to me trade at a very attractive PE earnings right now, have dividends, have different things. Right now I'm looking for companies that I'm more looking for companies that are irrationally getting beaten down. I like what you did with ASML. I didn't get in on there for a long-term play, and I've been in Micron for a while. Off that play, I've been in SMCI since the Heidenberg report. They're moving in the right direction. I know they're solid companies. I'm looking at that. I'm looking for energy plays right now that I think are undervalued, like you said, because I do think that a couple of things. I think we've seen these stronger storms, right? So I think we might see a little bit of a colder winter. I think
Yeah.
extremes seem to be in play more. So I think that, natural gas that you brought up. So I'm looking at KMI after their earnings last week, and some of the others there that you brought up that were good ones. That's what I'm looking at, is those value stocks, those good ones. Is Boeing a play right now? Boeing is one that I'm going to be getting into here. I just wanted to see what happens, with this strike. Still worries me a little too much with them. But that's sort of the sectors I'm looking at for that, and then as the other side of it, I am looking at Blink and some of these other EV plays that would get a
Mm.
rush up after the election there on that, but not necessarily the ones everybody else is looking at. I'm looking at some of these others, VST for a nuclear play. Again, some of the sectors that will see sympathy plays that maybe didn't get the big rush up already. So that's what some of the ones I'm
Yeah,
looking
it's
at.
a very good point. I mean, I remember back when IBM's earnings did not impress anybody, and now the stock's back to $225 a share, right? And we were buying that when
Yeah,
IBM
Intel's
got
one
beat.
right now I'm looking at because I'm saying to myself, they've got all this government money coming.
Yep.
As long as they don't screw it up, they're going to be in a position of strength here in the next year or two. So as I'm looking at more of a long term look, those are the companies that I'm sort of looking at there. We
And
can
if
see.
everybody's so bullish, then why is silver and gold at all-time highs? Silver being 34, with all-time high being over 50, but
Yeah.
gold 27.35 right now an
Well,
ounce.
and the DXY is still high. So that's one that I have for you, Steve, is why is that? I just think people are diversifying. I think people still have
Correct.
money on the sidelines, like you've talked about. and they are deploying some of it to protect themselves.
That's
So
right.
DXY, to me, I'm looking at it a little differently, saying DXY is at 104, which, by the way, if you were listening to us with Stephen Flanagan, you can see here on my chart, broke through the resistance he
You
told you it
nailed it.
broke through. Looks like it's going to make that move to 1445,
Yep.
104.45 rather. So, he nailed exactly what you see
And
there.
you're also seeing not just our country, but I think with the Dixie, I think you're seeing other countries looking to invest in the United States in the dollar here, the Dixie. So, look, I think that let's think about this for a second. Russia is about to have a big meeting with the BRICS in
Yeah.
Moscow. Okay, so every country coming into Moscow, let's say you're the ambassador or you're the president of the country or you're a highfalutin whatever over there. Come into Moscow and guess what you can't do? You can't use your Visa card. You can't use your MasterCard. You can't use the normal Swift banking.
Nope.
You've got to switch over to the Russian banking system because they're doing their own thing over there now due to the sanctions and due to so a lot of these countries are buying dollars against it. So something big is going to break here, and I'm telling you right now, I my eyes are very very tight on this summit right now going on in Moscow. Because quite frankly, I think something's coming out of it. But you saw Vladimir Putin talking about don't mess with our friends China. Whoa.
Yeah.
They're next door neighbors. Okay, I get it. But China has a very delicate situation with the United States. They don't want to mess that up. They
Yep.
are a big trading partner, and they don't want to mess up the rest of the Asian markets. So that's why I think you're seeing that geopolitical issues going on, and you're seeing the Dixie here pushing higher here. I do think there'll be a pullback in the Dixie. I think we'll probably get back to 103.30, probably somewhere around there after the summit. But I think this is what you're seeing right now. And look, these countries are looking to trade with Russia. Russia has huge exports of soybeans and wheat. They are the breadbasket of that area, like we are the breadbasket here. And nobody wants to be fighting Russia in a war. I mean, they ask Ukraine right now,
Yep.
and you look at it from that perspective. Geopolitical, it's getting worse. You just saw Israel just smacking Hamas with killing their general. Expect the same thing to come right back. It's getting worse over there, not better. Netanyahu's getting a little off his rocker, and you're seeing Hamas weaken. So maybe things are going to start to chill out a bit, but I don't know. I don't think so. And you look at right now, possibly in Taiwan, the China and the Taiwan situation
I
there.
was reading on that last night.
Right. So geopolitical is getting worse. And so guess what? You got to put money and hide it in the places that need the dollar. Now, it's not just the Dixie that you're having to hide it in. You're doing it in dollar denominated commodities. So
Yep.
that's oil and that's gold. And that's, if you want to buy oil, you got to buy it in dollars. Doesn't matter. You got to buy it in dollars. So guess what? 70.52 on the WTI right now. Every time it gets below 68 ish, that's where the SPR is buying. And when they do that, they got to buy it in dollars. So they got to buy it. And when they do that, they got to, let's say you're a foreign country, the oil's at 768 and it's going to go back up. They're going to be switching their XYZ, the yen or whatever into dollars. And they're doing that now, look. And then they got to buy so now all of a sudden, WTI is no longer $70.50 a barril. You got to attack on the percentage here now from the dollar being more expensive. So now oil's getting even more expensive, and then that should push the oil back down. I'm sorry, that's just basic economics of commodities, right? So
Yeah.
supply.
I mean, and also, as we've talked about, Europe's economy is growing at almost no rate here. So they're in much worse case. We know China, it's, their GDP is whatever they say it is. It isn't necessarily actually there. Um, I actually watched something yesterday. Do you know how we measure GDP over there? How, like, the
yeah,
US does it? By the
yeah,
lumens within houses.
yeah. I saw that. Michael Litt was also saying that too as well.
Yeah, I was
Um,
from his interview. I went back and looked at this thing. Is that's like crazy. It's amazing what is, again, when people say talk tech and AI are dead already. It's the same way I saw Allstate's CEO was on after the storms. do you know that they literally have satellite images of every person's house that they um, insure, and they can tell the quality of your roof through satellite imaging,
Yeah,
and
I mean,
that's
it's
how
just a
they
matter of
determine
time.
your rates
Yeah,
and
you know,
things
it's
like
just a
that.
matter of time before technology takes over everything. I was
That
seeing
just
where
blew me
Harvard,
away. Steve,
Harvard,
another one that's sort of surprising to me, and I think I'd like to talk about with our viewers here, is the 10-year yield and more about yields and like mortgage rates. What I think is, I know that I was expecting and now realize I was very wrong on, is that eventually we were going back to 2% mortgages. But the more and more I've listened to some of your interviews with some like Michael Litt and other people, and then listening to Stanley Druckenmiller and others on there, what I have to get used to is that the new normal might be basically where we're at now, where it's
yeah.
4% yields on a treasury bond, and that mortgages will come down to that 4 to 5%. But that's where you're looking at them sort of bottoming out on if you're looking like at a terminal low rate. So I just thought that was interesting. I know I hadn't really looked at it that way. I just assumed everything that goes up comes back down.
No, I mentioned this yesterday in Schwab and also Michael Litt. Look, there are 63 banks that are on the trouble list for the FDIC. 63. All right. That's a lot. And there is literally 550 some odd $billion in unrealized losses on the banks. They got to make that money back somehow or they're going to be out of business, right? And the only way they do that is by taking money in cash and lending it out at a higher rate. It's not hard. It's just simple math. And the Fed knows that, so they know they can't lower rates too much because they know they'll just ruin the banking system. So there is a fine line on which they walk. But they also know the markets aren't going to move if somebody doesn't want to buy a car because the rates are too high.
That's right.
If someone doesn't want to buy a house because the rates are too high, it's simple as that, right? And look, there's a fine line. So I think that they're finding it very. They're somewhat close to finding that. Do I think that the rates will come down again? Yes, I do, because quite frankly, we're seeing some cracks in the armor again, chinks on labor. We're seeing some chinks in manufacturing. We talked about that with Germany yesterday. The biggest German manufacturer is the biggest manufacturer in Europe. Boom, considering it again. So no, I think there's some problems. The Fed knows about it. I don't think it's 50 basis points. I think it's 25, and I think that's where they're going to stick with for a while. And you even heard that from Kashkari.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to bring up some of the early movers here this morning that we have GE, which is a sort of a surprising one, and it shows you.
Here
I
you go. Here you go, Howard. Just came the news came in. The IMF is lowering its global growth forecast next year to 3.2% and warns of accelerating risks from wars to trade protectionism. There it is. Even the IMF is saying it.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I see that ECB Centeno. GE Aerospace had some really good earnings. They've had better than expected quarterly earnings, and they raised their full year financial guidance, and they are now down 5% on that news. It shows how sometimes this follows into what I usually call the JP Morgan effect, where people expect JP Morgan just to blow the world away. They have good earnings, and for some reason, it almost always seems like the initial reaction for the first hour or so is the stock drops. This is a tough one because I'd like to get in on GE here, but it's too close to all-time highs. So this is one where I think I'm going to be prudent, listen to the big beat rules of trading. If when we do see that drop down that we are expecting here, that we both do, this would be one that would maybe pull that 10-15% back because it's just at all-time highs. It's just too high right now.
Well,
But
GE did something really cool back about 10 years ago, and they started to diversify away from things and get back to their normal core of what they do, aerospace, defense, and they've done very well. I don't have a
they stopped
General
making
Electric.
lousy toasters.
Right, I don't have any toasters in my house or GE radios in my
I
house
actually have an
anymore.
oven, so
Do you
but
really?
I don't even think they own that part of the business anymore. I believe
No,
that
that's what
was
I'm saying. They
spun
got
off.
away from
They've
it.
spun a lot of stuff off. GE Verona was a big runner just recently, which was a spin off of theirs. Um,
Right.
yeah, interesting. Hey, Steve, did you see? Speaking of ones I didn't talk to you about this morning, your cake has some activist investors in it. Cheesecake Factory announced today, and I didn't even know they had other restaurants. And
They
the
did,
idea is that this activist wants to wants to help take their subsidiaries, the other businesses outside of Cheesecake Factory, public in its own SPAC. So it was interesting, just a little bit different there. I know you are a fan of that stock, first of all, and that restaurant. So
Yeah,
following,
yeah. I mean, we said this before, right? That the weight loss drugs are going to make people want to go to much better restaurants. We're already seeing that. Um, interestingly enough, Wegovy, Ozempic. Now there's all kinds of those. I think we'll be taking weight loss drugs as a vitamin in the future, and probably next 3 to 4 years. You saw Bernie Sanders already talking about it, that he wanted to lower the prices of everything. I think you'll be sprinkling it on your food, and you won't eat as much. It'll be crazy. It'll just be part of daily life.
Lockheed Martin, another one that just had earnings again. Right now it's another one that's near all-time highs here. And again, same thing. It had good earnings, and they're down. 5%. They're not down 5%. They're down. This would just populate for me. Down about 1.3% here. But they had good earnings this morning.
Yeah, I'm looking at right now. If you look at the VIX, if I were to take the VIX and overlay that to the 10-year, it's showing me that I think we're going to see even more selling today. You know what, Howard? We're about 4 minutes now into the open, and I'm going to tell you right now, I think today might be a bad day.
Really? There you go. You're hearing it here from Steve. Well, I am fairly neutral in my position, so I'm okay there with that.
Spot gold at 27, almost 40 here.
Yeah.
Gold is pushing higher here into this 34.45. I think that's a near-term high now. Is that right? On silver now, 34.58 now on the days range. Yeah, and we're seeing deliveries having issues here. Wow. Uh, Wow, we're hearing COMEX silver delivery intentions are breaking down. What does that mean? In the futures markets, they're having a hard time making all of those deliveries. There is not as much supply and there's a lot of demand. It's not exactly hard to understand what's happening here. You're right, Howard. There it is. Like I said, if we break that 35, 36 handle there,
Yeah.
we
We haven't
go
done that
right
since
on up. There's
2017, I think, is what I just saw.
That's right. Yeah.
2012. Sorry.
Yeah, and guess what happened back then, right? And so you go back all the way back to the 70s when the Hunt brothers were buying up silver, cornering the market on that. We went to almost,
Trying to corner
almost
the market
50.
on
Yeah. Hey, they did a
that.
damn good job. No one stopped them for at least over a year. So,
Yeah. You
yeah.
can see that though. That's an interesting chart right here. Like you said, for me, this is an undercut and rally. If it breaks through that, it's go time for silver up to that 50 you were looking for. So you are at the right spot. Um, I'd want to see that confirmation through there, but yeah, that's impressive there. China, we saw Japan was down about 1.39 overnight, the Nikkei, but we did see Shanghai up a little bit, seeing a little of that across the ADRs, or the American traded parts of those companies. I did see, where is Baba is down, but I saw a lot of the others were up here earlier. Now it looks like they're losing momentum. So the Chinese stocks are actually losing momentum here.
There
NIO
you
up
go.
slightly.
Now seeing Jim Cramer is now positive on Disney now. So.
There goes that play.
Look, I think Disney is going to do quite well here going into the winter. People are coming down to the parks. It is absolutely jammers
I
at
told you
Disney
I
World.
went to Kings Island here. So, people that you couldn't get, like, it blown away. More busy for the Halloween festival than the middle of the summer here, and that's the big Six Flags Cedar Point Park by
Yeah,
me, and you couldn't even get in. We have season passes, and it took us forever to get out of there the other day. But yeah, I am seeing that people definitely are out in those parks, in the amusement parks, without a doubt, without a doubt. trying to take a look here to see what's down. And interesting, and another day, Apple now down about a point and a half here today. But I have to laugh because one day we get a report that their iPhone sales are setting records. The next day, they're the disappointing sales. Can someone make up their mind or give me a real number there? And I don't know who to trust
Well,
at
it's
this
hard.
point.
It's hard to get it. You know why it's hard to get those numbers? Because where are they manufacturing those phones?
China.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I know they're moving the manufacturing into Vietnam. I get all of that. They're moving manufacturing into other Southeast Asia countries, but it's hard to get those real numbers out of there. So there you go. Here we go with the opening bell. We are open, down now about 200 here.
Tick down
Yeah,
418 off the bat, 371. I will say I like Apple for a bounce off this 233.17 area here, maybe for a short term play. Can see in general that has been pretty good support here for it, since Tuesday, a week ago. So
yeah, I'm not really
yeah,
seeing much that nothing in here is saying, hey, I got to go buy. To keep our eyes tight here, but not really seeing it yet.
most things within about a point here. DJT taking off again today, now at 32.
Drug DRUG, we've been watching that one. The Bright Mind's down about 10% here.
I gotta say though, even that that thing's been just an absolute beast still. Like it went up yesterday.
34.50 now on silver there. 34.50.
Yeah.
Yeah, tick down 400 now. We're starting to see the markets. There you go. Down about 160, 180 points now. Now down. Nasdaq about 150 here. I think it's going to be a really rough day here in the markets. I think
I will say
it
for my penny pumpers here, I'm watching SOBR. SOBR. It's a safe company, but it's been a pretty good pumper. You can see it hit yesterday at 4 p.m.
give us some of those fast movers there,
That's
Mr.
what I'm looking.
Hondo.
I'm seeing what we've got. So far, I haven't seen no halts yet. That's what I'm keeping my eye on, and I don't get my market movers for about another 3 minutes. It takes 5 minutes for our quasar markets to update that. Otherwise, you're sort of looking at data. It doesn't matter. Let me take a look here, though. Let's see what we get changing over my screener. Looking now for a 5-minute change.
Nvidia now down about 1.5%.
Okay, ENSC would be a pumper to keep a look at here. Just absolutely popped off.
155 million shares trading there, up about 100 and almost 200% here,
If this
59
breaks
cents.
64 cents here, this would be one in play. Got to break 64 cents here. I'll bring up the 3-minute chart, show you what I'm looking. Actually, I'm on a
34.52 now on silver. We are still pushing higher. Gold making highs again there. I'm telling you, the markets do not look good to me here.
Steve, this one though, if you're looking for the pumper here, you can see its price action. I added VPVR to the right of my scalp screen here, so I can watch volume a little bit better. This one's trying to make a move. Again, over 64 cents. This would definitely be in play if it breaks 64 cents here. Let's see what else we have here. Any of my favorites. SRM, that's one of my favorite pumpers. SRM Entertainment. Oh, that one busting the wrong way there. That's going to be a stop. Oh, that's a non-NASDAQ. Oh, Tilt got it stopped. You don't see that. Huh. You ever see that
Bitcoin
before, Steve?
6,898 there, slipping a bit here. 34.58 now on silver. Silver is really now up 2.4%. Yep. Now you're seeing Apple down 1.4% here. Apple continuing to slide here a little bit.
Not enough volume in that one.
Apple still slipping here. Tick tick's about to go flat here. Let's see if it holds here the flat or it goes slipping back down. But not liking it right here. Not liking this market.
We got another pumper to keep an eye on here. MRKR actually down on the day, but looking to pump here. This makes a move. I got to get to a bigger time frame here to get it.
Tick just went positive for a little bit. Yeah, just a barely positive, but there you go.
Market Therapeutics could definitely be in play here this morning. Market Therapeutics. Let's see here. Nah, I'm not seeing any pumpers I like so far, Steve. Nothing really exciting there in that world.
Verizon VZ now down about 6% here on
They
the
had
day.
earnings today. Their earnings they did not report very well, if I remember here. Let me just pull it up for myself. Yeah, they missed estimates slightly, so they adjusted earnings of 119 a share versus an expectation. Actually, it was their revenue that was down. They did okay on their earnings, but their revenue was down. They reported customer additions or retail postpaid phone net additions of 239,000. So it wasn't terrible, but they're definitely down on their earnings reports. Steve, I have an earnings report that's sort of off the beaten track. I'm going to keep an eye on today. RHI, which is Robert Half
Mm,
Company. Those that
Robert hat.
know that they provide a lot of staffing for the tech business. Um, so I'll be interested in how their earnings report comes out here.
Continuing to see, yeah, tick negative again here. I'm starting to look at this. Dow now down 150. So that little buy the dip thing is not working out. I'm telling you, I this skin is getting
Well,
very
that's the
nervous.
change. I think that's a very important to point out what Steve is talking about here, and what you're seeing a change of is we're not seeing that immediate bounce back up from this drop here today, and we haven't seen that yesterday. So we're not seeing that quick. I want to buy whatever is out there. If it goes down here, moves. So that is something that definitely a market change than what we had seen in the last couple of weeks or last couple of months, honestly. Apple down 1.5%. Your cocoa down over almost 4.5% there, Steve.
Yeah, cocoa looks like the weather in Ivory Coast is getting much better. Here's something you want to talk about. If you want to talk about commodities and weather, it's orange juice.
We've heard bad news there, right? Do you have a
Correct.
symbol
Yeah.
for OJ? I don't have an orange juice symbol.
You can put OJ up there or FCOJ. Yeah. When you look at OJ in general, you have to kind of look at it from the perspective of how are South Florida, and we have a band area that's where the orange grows grow. They got smacked, and there are no oranges this year. And it also got hit by several issues of viruses going through the oranges as well, and not a good play right. I mean, it's high, 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 and I'd like to buy orange juice, but right now I don't know. The prices were getting high. If you go to the grocery store, oh my,
But isn't
and it's
wouldn't that be good for the orange juice, or is it providers? They get more money. Well, I guess no.
no, there's no money to.
Yeah, there's nothing there. I'm just trying to. I would say orange juice cash price could be a buy right now. Look at it nicely towards the support here right below it. I don't know what's going on outside my house. I live in the middle
Oh,
of
I was gonna
nowhere.
say I don't normally hear those. Is that my house? I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. I mean, I'm in the middle. Although our like regional fire station is right down the street.
There it is. Yeah, spot gold now hitting a record high, 27.40.57 per ounce. That is an all-time high on gold. If you think that gold prices are high and the markets are going to stay up like this, that's asinine. It's just not going to happen. People just aren't doing it. I'm looking at Kimberly Clark. That was interesting. Did you see Kimberly Clark?
Their earnings. I had it right here. Yeah, their stock had fallen pretty hard. I didn't know if you're talking about the Olympic snowboarder. That's really her name. So you caught me by surprise there, Steve. I actually do have that right here. They were down about 3.1 in pre-market trading there. They are the parent company of Huggies, Kleenex,
Yeah.
Scott toilet paper, all those things that we use here.
Pulte Group, I'm watching CNBC this morning. Pulte Group PHM down about 5% here. Home buyers and home builders are not going to do very well, I don't think, in this kind of environment. I know that lower rates, but home prices are going up. So yeah, I don't see people rushing out to buy homes right now.
I will say Kimberly Clark making a nice move up after gapping down at the open. It had fallen as low as 136, now up to the high of trading period here at 139.45. So, it had been yesterday at closed at 144.18. Gap down tremendously on their news. And again, their earnings are not that bad.
IMF, Russia has summoned the German envoy. That's interesting. Going to expel the Germans now out of Russia.
Okay, we're seeing our first set of stops here. TCBP. TCBP. That's TC Biofarm. Oh, that stopped way on the way down. That one doesn't interest us. Also seeing CHSN. CHSN. That one is stopped on the way up, it looks like here. So this is an interesting one. What's that volume look like? Yeah, it's not a lot of volume there. That's a little low on volume. Get interesting to watch here as it comes out of the halter.
70.54, 70.55 now here on WTI. Still holding here. So nothing, I haven't made a move this morning. I just don't like this market.
I haven't seen anything yet. I've been looking for one of these pumpers to make a move, but I don't see anything having enough energy here. QQQ though, actually right here about to make a breakout. There it goes. QQQ making a breakout. Just broke its high of the day. 493. There it goes. 494. Look at that. That's a nice move on QQQ right there.
It looks like it's all options options that are doing that.
These are DTAs. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they're going
I
to get
mean,
crushed.
there's a ton of people. Well, I mean, they're probably already out. Like, in other words, that's what Mike Shore trades in his room with his people. He would have just had a trailing stop on that, and boom, would have been done. Make that pump and go. Once it pumped through that VWAP, you can see that move up in just a matter of 4 minutes. And it's still going. It looks like we are seeing that buy and step back in here. Take a look at SPY. Both SPY and QQQ look pretty decent for scalps, actually. QQQ broke 494 before dropping back down here. But it's going to try to go positive here on the day, it looks like. Tick still negative, almost 500.
Yeah, I don't see anything. I'm not buying anything in this market. If anything, I'd like to probably short this market. Dow's down almost 200 here. TCBP still halted here, still moving here.
No, I'm actually looking at GNPX here. GNPX, which is not
Genprex.
halted, but
Oh, I haven't heard that one in a while.
it is making a play here as a pumper.
Up 150% here
Yeah,
on the
let's
back of
see.
76 million shares. Be careful there.
So these are the ones I like that have that volume, but I want to see it. Yeah, no, I'm looking for this for
The
another
market
pullback.
cap of Genprex is almost 4 million on a volume of 77 million. So
Yeah, you got to look for the ones that these guys are playing, though. That's the whole. You got to chase that volume, see where it's at. This would be one if it
if
comes
there's a
back
little bit
down
more
here.
slippage here, in the markets, we could see a real drop here. VIX is still holding just a little bit here, not moving too much, but that dollar now the highest of the session here, 104.07 here. So I just Hondo on a I just don't like this market. I just don't like this market.
Yeah, I mean I can see it here. Let's
Disney
see.
has just gone positive.
CHSN should come off a halt here. Let's see what happens. CHSN coming off a halt here. This is a very interesting one right here. If it breaks.
On 113,000 shares. Whew, no way I couldn't touch that thing with a 10-foot pole. XAG 3460 now on silver. 3460. We talked about that this morning, that we could see probably even a bigger move here in silver, now 2.5%. I mean, look, that's telling you everything. People are buying precious metals. Why you shouldn't be buying stock in this?
Coming off halt or not? I'm not sure. Another pumper here. ENSC. That's got some volume. Normal average volume 8 million. It's at 147 right now. This one's pretty simple to watch. If it goes through that 64 cents, it's go time. This is actually interesting. This one's the one to watch right here, Steve. ENSC here. ENSC. If it breaks through this 65 cents, it is definitely in play.
Yeah. Okay. Your CHSN is open, up 3.84%, but just not up $13 now, 6%. Just nothing there that I could
No
touch there.
volume.
Okay.
Yeah.
VIX is dropping a bit here. VIX is dropping a bit here. Dollar now 104.07 here.
Looked like CHSN got stopped again.
Yeah, with 1327 now on someone on 40,000 shares. So I mean that's not a whole lot of money really. If you
Nope.
look at it, so 40,000 shares times $13 is right around, yeah. So it's not even really worth. Is a $500,000 and the company's worth 262 million. So not much there.
Yep. And they were just stopped again.
Bitcoin slipping a little bit more here in the lows of the session here. It's 2741 now on gold, making another all-time high there. 3458 now on silver.
Wow. Up 2.5% today. You can see Qs are trying to get back up to that 294.50 area. Just lost the 294 handle. seen a report out of first squawk, foreign actors, especially Russia, China, and Iran, prepared to exploit opportunities in pre-election period, could consider physical threats, violence, U.S. intelligence officials say. Foreign actors are highly likely to conduct post-election information operations to create misinformation. Not anything we don't expect there. I do want to point out Tesla, one of our favorite Don't Fade the Musk. He has earnings tomorrow, so I will be watching Tesla today, see what it does.
I think the whole world is watching Tesla. Oh, there you go. Tick's now up almost 200 there, Howard.
There we go.
Cocoa slipping here still down about 5% there. That's back down to normal now. So hot chocolate during the winter might not be so bad now.
Well, there you go. We know you like your hot chocolate with marshmallows. Chips getting hit here. AMD down 2.5%. AVGO down about 0.62. Intel down 1.71.
Taiwan Semi just said that they're not aware of any subject of any investigation at this time. I know that Taiwan Semi TSMC was there was some chatter that there was something out there, but no.
Tell you what, Intel's looking sort of interesting here on a pullback to maybe that 2150 to 2087 level for a longer term play to fill that gap. ENSC, the one I just talked about, now up 200%. ENSC.
There you go. Bitcoin slipping still 66.6 now. So I called that this morning, and you're right. Speaking of the chipset, so that probably is weighing on that too as well.
Tell you what, this ENSC, it looks like it's going to try to be the runner here today. We've seen these. Here it goes. Breaks through the 65 cents. Watch out. It's had trouble breaking 65, 64. This is one here. There it goes, 65. Here it goes, runner, 67. Let's see here. Does it give you the runner? It definitely has room. You know, I was watching it, got off of it. Damn, 68. There it goes. And again, we're seeing almost 250 million in volume here. Normally 9 million in volume is your average day. Now up at staying right around that 68 level here. We could get a nice stop here on this one. Could give us an opportunity. 67 cents.
I am keeping my eye here on UPS here. UPS now 130.10 now, down almost 1% on the day. You know, I talked about that yesterday in Schwab about doubt theory a little bit. UPS and FedEx. You look, if FedEx, either one of them get down on this pullback, which I'm calling for, and we're seeing it. I know that it's early, but I think we're seeing a little bit of it now. I'd like to start buying some of these. I think so. I think that wow.
Yeah, I mean, again, you know, this is the time. What I'm starting to do is I will start to put together a wish list here with some prices on some of these, you know, stocks that I like. I will share them here over the next week or so. I'm telling you, this ESNC, man, it looks like it's going to run. Started looking at that right at 60 cents. Now it's 69. It's going to keep going.
We're
Man,
still
it's the
seeing
runner. This is the runner right here, 69.
If we don't see Bitcoin holding up here, we could see a pullback. I mean,
There it goes, 73, 74 cents. I was a little short, little weak to the trigger there. 75 cents. It had the perfect setup. Man, I missed that one, Steve. There'll be others.
The best part about the markets is there's always another opportunity.
Right. But those are the ones we're looking at here. And it had that volume. It had that volume for sure. Now, you know, like I said, almost 250 million in volume.
You know, we were talking about it earlier. And I don't know, I'll have to ask you too in your area, but the one thing that I've been mentioning this year that I've not been seeing is the yard sign war in politics. I'm not seeing a lot of Trump signs. I'm not seeing a lot of any Kamala Harris signs. Definitely not seeing any of that.
I have a lot of Trump signs near me,
Okay.
in the farmland, and because they're farms, they got lots of space to put stuff up. No, here it's all again, it's more local election stuff that I'm not used to seeing.
Right.
Like in other
That's
words,
where I think
that
that,
tends to be
yeah.
more of it. I'm seeing a lot of that stuff. I'm
And in
seeing a
Florida
lot.
here,
I don't know about
ooh,
down by
oil
you,
is
but here a lot of the
71.30.
referendums too.
Oil just jumped a dollar here, 71.30 here now, barrel.
Wow.
Something, yeah. Somebody's buying oil again here. UCO now up 4% here. 71.42 now a barrel.
Wow.
71.70 now a barrel here on oil.
Got another pumper here, Oriental Rise Holdings Limited, ORIS. Not enough volume here, though. That one's running away, too. So we are pulling back.
So we're seeing Starboard talking about Kenvue, KBUE, right now. KBUE. Starboard Value is interested in KBUE. Stock's not trading much here. Volume is 2.2 million. Average volume is 15 million, but KBUE saying they want to sit down with them. Interesting.
They were just famous for their involvement in, who were they just? Starboard just was activist and Save?
Yep.
It's moving up there. Not anything really exciting here this morning, Steve.
KBUE has now just gone positive on the day.
Mueller Industries had its earnings today, having a nice little move up. At all-time high here, they're pumping up 15%.
Palantir still pushing higher here, up 0.6%. And natural gas UNG now up 1.6%. I mean, we've been talking about that for a while now. That I feel like nat gas here is probably one of those. Yeah, look at that. Oil just dropped right back down, dropped 60 cents a barrel on that buy. It might have been the government buying oil there.
You've talked about that, the SPR. We're not seeing anything make a move here. SPY still down 0.44, QQQ down 0.34. A lot of red across all the screens here. A lot of red. Trying to see if there's any good winners. Microsoft's one of the best performers today. See that Norfolk Southern, the train company, railroad company, has just announced its new leader, and he said he's focused on reviving the tarnished railroad operations in months after a workplace scandal led to the ouster of his predecessor, and they had all the problems here in Ohio with the crashes. Well, that's a nice move up by Microsoft here, 1.76%. Retail getting smacked down today. Nordstrom's losing about 3%. Kohl's down almost 2%. Levi down 1.39. Foot Locker down 2.5%. So that whole sector getting hit. Steve, we're at the 10 o'clock hour. I do want to tell our viewers we have Jeremy Vreeland and Matthew Tuttle on at 11:30 today for their market watch list. I'll be actually on with Scott Bauer at 1 o'clock. I'll be talking Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining companies with Scott live from the SIBO. And at 2 o'clock, I will be showing Steve's interview with Michael C. Litt from yesterday. We'll have that on again tomorrow at 10 a.m. for those that are more of a morning watcher, but we'll have that on. And then my interview with Alan Ellman on covered calls, a great session on, on covered calls and how to earn some extra income there. So we have a great day of a lineup today. Steve, any final thoughts for us here as we go?
I still stick to my thesis that it's a down day. It's down. I think it's down week, to be honest with you.
Okay, well, you heard it here. We'll be back tomorrow morning with Big Beat. Everybody, I will see you back at 1 o'clock, but join us at 11:30 for Jeremy and Matthew.